Why would race have anything to do with it? Put your mind to what you want to do and go for that.
You know, there's a moment that still lives rent-free in my head. It just loops over and over and over again. It wasn't a moment that was like shouted. No one was screaming and yelling and hollering. It wasn't dramatic. It was said very casually. And that's what made it worse.
But if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you are for me or for Trump, then you ain't black. Now, that wasn't said by some random dude on the internet. That came from a former president, Joe Biden. And it reveals something that goes far deeper than politics. You see, because that statement was not about race. No, that statement was about ownership. That statement assumed that identity replaces thought, that skin color determines loyalty, that disagreement equals betrayal. And once you hear that clearly, you start noticing there's a pattern here. And it's not necessarily a pattern of hatred. No, it's a pattern of we look down upon you. This is why a moment from Morgan Freeman still matters. When asked about Black History Month, Freeman, he didn't rant. He didn't accuse anyone. He didn't posture. He simply said,
"You're going to relegate my history to a month?"
You're going to relegate my history to a month? Then he says something even more dangerous, and he did it real smooth, real calm.
Black history is American history.
Black history is American history. And when asked, how do we stop racism? His answer shocked people, and it shouldn't have been shocking, but it did. He said,
how are we going to get rid of racism?
Stop talking about it.
Stop talking about it. He didn't say don't pretend it ever existed. He didn't say deny history. But he was trying to get us to realize we need to refuse freezing identity into a permanent victimhood. Now, of course, that mindset collided head on with the mindset of people like Don Lemon, because Lemon argued that race inevitably shapes outcomes.
I was born in Memphis, Tennessee. I had a long haul from where I came from to here, but here we are.
Right.
So proof of the pudding is in the eating, and here we sit at the dining table.
But it's hard to, when you say that to some people, because they say, oh, there you go with a pull yourself up by the bootstraps thing, and, you know, you're just being respectable. Not everybody can do that.
There are a lot of people who are born in situations where they say, well, I'll never get out of this. So they won't. If you can think of it, you can do it. That's the human condition. If we can imagine it, we can do it.
Right. Yeah. You know, I said, and it's probably get me in trouble, but I said to some of my colleagues recently, so I know that it's an issue, but it seems like every single day on television I'm talking about race, and it's because of the news cycle, it's in the news, but sometimes I get so tired of talking about it. I want to just go, this is over, can we move on?
And if you talk about it, it exists.
Right.
Yeah, it's not like it exists and we refuse to talk about it, but making it a bigger issue than it needs to be is a problem.
Freeman disagreed politely and firmly. He said, courage matters. Choice matters. Responsibility matters. He said, not everyone succeeds, but everyone can act. Now, that wasn't a denial of hardship. It was a rejection of a helplessness mindset as an identity. You know, somewhere along the way, something changed. Equality, it quietly turned into expectation management. Opportunity became protection from failure. Respect was replaced with assumption. Policies started being built not on what people can do, but on what others assume they cannot do. And that's where things get dangerous. Because when you tell someone the system is unbeatable, why would they even try? Here's the thing. If failure is always blamed on the system, then growth becomes optional. Self-reflection disappears. Improvement becomes pointless and responsibility feels unfair. That mindset does not liberate anyone. It binds them. It traps them. It is true that history matters. Context matters. But identity should never be a cage. The most damaging lie is that agency is impossible. And when quote-unquote help starts sounding like lowered expectations, it's time to ask, who is that help really for?